The Divine Challenge, a story written in stone. Imagine a construction project that lasts longer than a human lifetime. Imagine the greatest artistic geniuses of all time, Michelangelo, Bernini, Raphael, clashing, collaborating, and pouring their souls into a single vision. Imagine a building so vast, so sublime, that it was designed to shake the very soul and affirm faith itself. This is not a legend. This is the true story of St. Peter's Basilica. The prologue. Why here? Why build anew? The story begins not in 1506, but in the 1st century AD. This site is believed to be the final resting place of St. Peter, the apostle whom Christ called the rock upon which he would build his church. Peter was martyred in Nero's circus nearby and buried in a simple grave on the Vatican Hill. Centuries later, the first great basilica was built over his tomb by Emperor Constantine in the 4th century. For over 1,000 years the old St. Peter's stood. But by the Renaissance it was crumbling, literally and symbolically. The church, confident and powerful, needed a new monument, a testament to God's glory and the majesty of the faith that had begun in that humble grave, the ambitious dream. 1506-1514. Bramante's vision. In 1506, the formidable Pope Julius II, the warrior pope, laid the first stone. He hired architect Donato Bramante, who envisioned a structure of perfect symmetry and monumental scale. A Greek cross, 4 equal arms, topped by a colossal dome, inspired by the ancient Roman pantheon but meant to dwarf it. Bramante's plan was breathtakingly ambitious. He famously said he would place the pantheon's dome on the Basilica of Maxentius. To start, he began tearing down the ancient basilica, a move that horrified many but which Julius II pushed through with unwavering will. The project began with the 4 massive pillars intended to support the dome. But with the deaths of both Julius II and Bramante by 1514, construction stalled, leaving only the pillars as a hint of the grandeur to come. A century of masters and false starts, 1514-1547. What followed was a chaotic, creative, and often frustrating period where a parade of geniuses tried to leave their mark. Raphael took over, leaning towards a Latin cross, longer nave design, but he was better known as a painter and did little before his early death. Antonio da Sangallo the Younger followed with a complicated model that focused on elaborate details and fortifications, but it felt fussy and lacked the sublime simplicity of the original vision. For years, construction inched forward, mired in indecision. The Titan's touch, 1547-1590, Michelangelo's Divine Fury. At the age of 72, the irascible, brilliant sculptor Michelangelo was persuaded to take over. He refused payment, calling it a service to God. He dismissed Sangallo's plans as too weak, declaring, "Whoever departs from Bramante's plan departs from the truth." Michelangelo returned to the central Greek cross, simplifying and strengthening the design with a colossal rhythmic facade. His true masterpiece was the dome. He designed a double-shelled dome, soaring and ribbed, that was not just an architectural feat but a spiritual statement. It was intended to reach closer to heaven than any other building. Michelangelo worked on it until his death in 1564. He never saw it completed, but he left detailed models and drawings. The subsequent architects, Giacomo della Porta and Domenico Fontana, finished the dome in 1590, following his designs faithfully. When the final stone was placed, all of Rome reportedly stopped to watch. The skyline of the Eternal City was forever transformed. The final shape, 1607-1626, Maderno's nave, and Bernini's embrace the church decided the basilica needed more space for worshippers. Architect Carlo Maderno was tasked with extending Michelangelo's building, transforming the Greek cross into a Latin cross by adding a long nave. This unfortunately obscured the view of the dome from the square, but it created the immense interior space we know today. He also designed the vast facade. While impressive, it's often critiqued for being too wide and blocking the dome. A compromise born of practical needs. Finally, the interior needed a heart. In 1626, the same year the new basilica was consecrated, a young prodigy named Gian Lorenzo Bernini began work. Over the next decades, he would become the soul of the interior, creating the breathtaking baldacchino, the bronze canopy over the papal altar, the Cathedra Petri, throne of St. Peter, and the statues that animate the space. His work would define the Baroque splendor within. Your invitation to witness history. This is not just a story in a book. It is a building you can walk into. This is why you must see it for yourself. Step inside and feel the scale. Look up at Michelangelo's dome and marvel at the human spirit that dared to build it. Trace the letters 6 feet high that circle the base. Tu es Petrus et super hanc Petram edificabo ecclesiam meam. You are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church. You are standing at the very heart of that promise. Reach out and touch the centuries. Run your hand over the smooth, worn foot of the bronze statue of St. Peter, a devotional act performed by millions of pilgrims for 700 years. You are connecting with their faith across time. Stand in the center of Bernini's colonnade. Walk into St. Peter's Square and experience Bernini's magnificent motherly arms of columns, designed to embrace the world in faith. Find the spots on the pavement where the columns line up perfectly, a testament to Bernini's architectural genius. Witness Michelangelo's Pietà. Gaze upon the only work the master ever signed, the sublime beauty, the heartbreaking sorrow of Mary holding her son. It is carved from stone but feels alive. It will leave you breathless. Descend into the sacred grottos. Walk beneath the Basilica to the Vatican necropolis. Here in the quiet dimness, you are steps away from the ancient tomb of a simple fisherman, the Apostle Peter. This humble beginning is the reason this monumental basilica exists. St. Peter's Basilica is more than a church. It is a chronicle of humanity's quest for the divine. It is the story of ambition, faith, art, and genius spanning 120 years. It is a challenge, an invitation, and an unforgettable experience.